Hi and welcome back to the Quarry Garden. On what seems like an autumnal day, but it's not really, it's the height of summer, but we've had a lot of rain in July. It's been quite biblical at times, very heavy wet rain. This is Maddie, by the way. She's a neighbour's dog who's on holiday with us at the moment. But anyhow, I thought today would be an ideal day to start the Stumpery down here in the bottom of the Quarry Garden. And for all those new subscribers that have subscribed following the White Garden is all the way at the top, in the top of the Quarry Garden. But down here is where I'm trying to concentrate on over the next couple of months. And the Stumpery is an area that I wanted to start for quite a long time, just been waiting for the right moment. And I think this is it, because there's not a lot I can do elsewhere. So the Stumpery is going to be based full of old tree stumps and ferns, hostas, those kind of plants. But there's a lot of clearing of weeds to do first. I need to finish lining the paths, to define the paths with big stone, which I've got in plentiful supply. Obviously being a quarry, an old quarry, I have a lot of access to a lot of stone. So I need to do that. Won't get it finished all today. Then I've got some ferns, some hostas and some very small tree stumps that I've managed to just obtain from around this area. So I'm going to make a start with this mounded section here. I think it'll be the easiest part to start with. The rest of it, as you can see, I'm starting to add little bits of piles of old soil, stone, wood, anything that I can get my hands on really. It's a long way to go, but I've got to start somewhere. So I thought, this is it. I'm going to start it today, even though it's raining. But while I start clearing these weeds, why don't I give you a tour of the White Garden? Even though it's not at its best because of all the rain, but we did have one dry day on the 31st of July and it was sunny. So I managed to get out and actually take a video. So let me play that video now for you and then you can come back to see how far I've got. So the only good thing about weeding this time of year when you've got all this rain, the ground's very wet, so the weeds actually pull out quite easily. So the next thing is to rake up all of this mess. I've managed to clear all of the weeds. Got a wasp's nest here, so I'm being really careful about what I'm doing around here. It's quite a bit loose stone. Rake this clear, and then I'm going to lay some of the stone down around where I think I want the path to come round this corner. So I haven't got enough stone here to make it all the way down to the bottom of the path, which I started some time ago, but at least I've got enough to bring round here. Now it's a really heavy stone, and I haven't brought this here by myself. Mr. Quarry Garden kindly brought it for me, because I can manoeuvre stones, but I can't actually lift heavy stones like this very far. So it's just a bit trial and error really to see what looks good where. And I think I'll do a curve to see what that looks like first. So let me put you on a time lapse, otherwise this might take quite a while. Now this is the array of old trunks, tree trunks. They're not even tree trunks, to be honest. They're just pieces of rotten wood that I've managed to either dig out or lift out, or they've been lying around. So there's no formula to this. It's pretty much trial and error. I'm certainly no expert in doing anything like this. Pretty sure this is all going to change. This may not be the final positions of everything, but I'll just place things around and see how it looks. You don't want it to look too contrived. You want to try and make it look a bit natural. So I've placed all of the old gnarly tree stumps and pieces of wood that I've got from around in the quarry, and I've placed this large fern for demonstration purposes more than anything, so you can see what I'm trying to achieve in this stumpery. I haven't dug these in the ground yet, these ferns. I'm going to live with it for a few days to see if I'm happy with it. But this is something you can achieve in your own garden. You can add a stumpery to a very small space. If you have access to wood, all the better. But if you don't, I dug these out of my log store. These are just logs that we burn on the fire or on the log burner, but they're interesting shapes, and I thought they would look good, particularly if you add a fern and a hosta just around them. So that's something you can do in your own garden. So this section actually differs slightly to what I actually had in the video earlier, because I decided to add two pieces of the same type of wood. I think these are sections from an old silver birch tree. And instead of having ferns and a mix of hostas, I thought you got more of an impact if you put three of the same type of plant. So I decided on hostas for this section. And again, this is something, it's a very small piece of architecture that you can actually add to your own garden too. So on this section, which is actually the top of the mound, I've looked around the quarry for old sections of trees, old limbs from trees that are pretty rotten, and I've found quite a few. And yes, they will rot down in time, but for now it gives some place for insects and small mammals to hide. And again, you can do this in your own garden if you have a space where you have lots of old trees. And I'm going to add ferns into the middle of all of these logs too, just to make it interesting more than anything. So that's it for today. I'm pretty wet and pretty cold. It's a blustery day today, so hopefully you've heard the sound above all of the wind. But I'm quite pleased with how everything's turned out so far. A lot more to do, so it's going to take me, as I mentioned earlier, an awful long time. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.